Hello, good evening, Statto. How are you doing?
We're back. Hi.
Oh, hey, there we go. That's better. Oh, wait a minute. I don't know if I like the look of that. Your fangs are showing.
Ah, tis the season.
Tis the season.
Thought I could just be myself around you. I didn't realize I was going to get tag shamed.
Oh God!
Goodness sake!
Oh no, I feel so bad now. Yeah,
no, you should. You should, man.
I should. That's terrible.
I have to deal with this every single day.
Let's just
night. I meant night.
Let's just start again. Again.
Yeah. We'll forget all about it. I mean,
we'll forget about it. Yeah, as Pete. Hello, Pete. As Pete says, it's Statula.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So hi there, Pete.
Sounds like something a cooking instrument.
Indeed.
How am I supposed to take that?
I don't know. It's a steak, very rare. Wullie and Dave, all right, me babbers. And Adams, good evening, Adams, sir. And Aloy Hoy, Jacobus.
Oh.
And hi, Statistical Zero.
Hey, that guy.
That guy. Oh, right, okay. It's getting so close to Halloween. I can't believe it's so close to Halloween. Where has the time gone? But that's probably just as well because we're going to be talking about some horrific or horrible movies tonight. It could be both.
Well, yeah, depending on where you're coming from. I mean,
I know. Well,
we
shall see.
Bad movies. So.
We do. I actually
do.
I do. I like bad movies. I like.
It ain't no Missing in Action 2, but
no. But what is? Let's be honest. Yeah. That was a popular show. That's not quite up there with the Rambo.
Wow. What is? We're talking Stallone's exactly the best, and
that's taking on a life of its own, man. Right.
Stallone
okay.
For life.
Yeah. Life. Yeah. On that note, I'm going to have a wee quick gander and see how Ailsa's doing because we do have something to talk about.
84 backer.
Another backer. That's nice. Another backer.
I like it.
But we put out an update. There it is.
Some of these sweet trading cards.
We got the trading cards printed. The trading cards. I've got everything for the campaign now. I have just got to get the comic finished, and then that's the next thing to get printed. So yeah, that's the trading cards. I'm quite happy with them. Got to say, look quite nice.
Look great.
Yeah, so that's a Bampot bonus
to everybody. Cards.
Yeah, but they're the right size for the baseball cards, and they're in such a design that if I was to carry them on another campaigns, I would use the same layout. So it would be like a new character drawn on one side and a panel from their appearance in their first comic they appeared in on the other sort of thing. But I've got that up there now, and everybody's got that now for the campaign. Good stuff.
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah. So that is Ailsa Dark. If anyone's new to the channel, that's my campaign. It's in demand. It'll be gone by the end of November because I'll be posting things out. Promise. We're just about there.
Beautiful.
Yay.
I'm waiting.
Hey. Yeah, I know. I'm waiting too.
I'm right here. Empty hands. Ready. Excited.
Oh, me too. But
that's okay. It'll be worth the wait.
It will be. But right now, I'm really excited about this because we are doing 70s vampire movies that maybe get less love than a lot of the other films out there.
In all their earth tone washed out glory.
Yeah. Adams might have been talking about the mission and action movies there. I don't know, but it can equally apply to these films because they are amazing because they are so much of their time, so different from what you would normally get for a vampire movie as well. And we're going to be talking about Count Yorga, Blacula, and a wee chap called Barnabas as well. I'm going to start with that. Before we do, I'll say hello to Hyper Kaiju. Thanks for joining us. And okay, if I can find my
fangs,
something like that. There you go. No
bottle of blood.
No, it was my Wacom pen.
Mirror. Oh.
But you know me, I'm always so organised. I'm so organised because I've got everything ready here. I've got these kind of flashcards to help us out, and we are going to start with now. This is like more of an American sort of thing than it was in the UK. In fact, it wasn't in the UK at all. But that was the kind of like the whole Dark Shadows phenomena. Now, this was like a soap opera that ran from the 60s into the early 70s. A daytime soap opera that wasn't doing that well, but then they introduced a vampire called Barnabas. And they made him a kind of a tragic, forlorn, kind of like love-lost vampire character.
Kind of like that first romantic vampire.
Yeah, so the first sort of like Lestat or something like that.
Led directly to Twilight, confirmed. Thanks a lot, Barnabas.
Yeah, damn you, Barnabas.
I can't believe it.
Shocking. But you can't blame the father for the grandson's sins, can you really? In the same way as you can't blame the grandson for the sins of the father, or whatever. But
he learned it from you.
So this is a weird thing where kids would seemingly rush home. We were rushing home in the UK to watch Grange Hill, a show about kids at school. And in America, you kids were rushing home to watch some forlorn, love-lost vampire.
How dare you?
Yeah, but it was Dan Curtis who was in charge, and he's the brilliant idea of let's make a movie. And I think originally was going to splice together sequences from the TV show and make a movie that way, because that was something they did successfully with the Man from U.N.C.L.E. films and some other TV shows. But they eventually went, no, let's just make a proper movie. So they did. And they did all the kind of things that they couldn't do on TV, like red blood everywhere and kind of like sensual, sexy vampires. And I watched this. I'd seen it many, many years ago, but never seen it since. And I watched it. It was almost like I'd watched it for the first time when I watched it a few nights ago. This film is nuts.
Feels like the first time. Adam says a question.
No.
He's wondering if this was a compilation of episodes like The Haunting of Collinwood.
No. This is like what they've done is they've taken the storyline of Barnabas that was in the TV show, and they've redone it like at super speed. Like the scenes in this last about 30 seconds before they jump onto another scene. So they've really kind of sped up and kind of taken the whole story and kind of like contracted it down to 90 minutes. But they've given it a different ending, like an ending that they didn't have in the TV show, because the TV show was an ongoing soap opera, So it was a completely original film that they made. And the Haunting of Collinwood, are you talking about there was a sequel, which was The Night of the Dark Shadows, and that was only connected to this movie because it was set there in Collinwood in the same house, but it was a ghost story made by the same guy, Dan Curtis. And excuse me, that there was supposed to be a direct sequel to this called Curse of the Dark Shadows, but it never actually happened because this is the thing, they took all the main members of the cast to make the movie, which meant that they weren't available for the TV show.
Right. So
they had to come up with reasons why. So the vampire was trapped in his coffin for God knows how many weeks in the TV show while he was away making a movie. And then
what Monty Python could have done with that.
Oh no! And so,
hello, I can't seem to get out of my coffin. Could someone please assist me?
That's pretty much it. So that they did that. All the main characters were away making the movie, which means that the TV show it's a bit like in Dallas if they just did a season without JR. He just went away. People would stop watching. And at the same time it was released, it did really well. The movie did really well, but it was far more violent and sexy than the TV show. So I think there's a kind of theory that I can't remember the name of the person who wrote the companion book a few years ago for this. I was reading that he was saying there was a theory that a combination of people stopping watching because the main characters weren't there, plus parents not happy with how sexy and violent the film were, meant that they wouldn't let their kids watch the show, so pretty much ratings dived. So they never got to make the sequel. But they did make, based on like the Haunting of Hollywood, they did make another movie, which is The Night of the Dark Shadows.
For the House of Dark Shadows, it sure looks like all Barnabas does is stand in sunlight. I mean, that poster right there, he's just out in the afternoon for a walk.
Oh, well, that's it. The whole point is to get there is a character who wants to cure him, because they figure there's a way of actually isolating something, but they can cure the vampirism. And so he does get to walk in the sunlight.
Oh,
so
it's like that one movie with Sam Neill and Nightwalk. No, I can't remember the name of the movie at the moment, but it was Ethan Hawke was the star, but you probably seen it.
Yeah. Daywalkers.
Daywalkers. Yeah, Willem Dafoe was in there. I've already cured myself of vampirism. What?
Yep, kind of like that one. And that's when he's like walking with the women that he's in love with, and it's all focus, all the kind of soft focus, kind of like 1970s kind of photography.
Sure.
Before everything goes kind of pear-shaped, and then he starts having to bite people again.
Just can't kick the habit.
I know you can't. So there's some lobby cards from it. It's bonkers. You should get affiliate links. Yeah, never thought about that. No, it was actually quite decent, I think, Dave.
Really underrated.
Yeah,
kind of went under the radar for a lot of people.
Could have done with a sequel. Yeah, I just bought the Blu-ray Dark Shadows a few weeks ago.
The movie here?
Yeah, I got the movie, the Blu-ray movie from Italy.
Okay, I thought you were talking about that Johnny Depp version.
No, because a lot of people have probably seen that one, because that's based on this.
I still haven't watched it, to be honest.
I quite like it, got to say.
I'll have to watch it sometime. I've heard so many terrible things, but I'm not 100% sure if that's just from fans of the show that were really angry about it. Daybreakers. Yep, Hyper Kaiju's right. Daybreakers.
Daybreakers. Yeah, I'm thinking of Blade, aren't I?
Yeah, you are.
Yeah, that's me. Just thinking of Blade. Thanks for joining us, 24 Eyes.
Hey.
Daybreakers, cool. That's why you guys are here, to keep us on track. But yeah, I watching this film was an experience. It was like, I think it was my wife said, was that a good film that you just watched? And I kind of went, no, not really. I don't think you call it a good film, but it was entertaining.
Well, I guess that kind of constitutes as a good film.
Well, kind of. It does have, I was going to include him here, it does have Harvey from Cagney and Lacey in it. He's been in a couple of vampire movies, funnily enough, because he was in Daughters of Darkness as well. He was the male lead in that film, which is really good.
Great title.
Yeah. So, this is like, it's worth checking out, guys. It's not worth paying like silly money for if somebody's wanting silly money off of eBay or anything like that. But it's worth checking out this movie. I think you'll enjoy this one, Pete. Especially with the kind of knowledge that it's kind of like a Crossroads with vampires. That's the way to approach it. Yeah, I quite enjoyed. I did quite enjoy the Depp version. I think it's because I don't really have much of a tie to this kind of franchise, and especially the TV show.
Might be the situation.
Yeah, I tried watching some of the episodes, and they're okay, but they really are quite old and creaky and really bad videotape. So it's a kind of thing where, I mean, I'll be able to watch that if it's an old Doctor Who episode, so I can understand why people who like this can watch the old shows.
Oh, for sure.
But because they don't really have much of a resonance with me, watching them when my children are reading, I can really stick with them. But he was
that poster in the top left.
Yeah, that's kind of like the lobby cards. It's a well made, it's a well shot, well made, interesting movie, and it's very kind of like 1970s, and it's right around 1970, so it's still got a little bit of that kind of like 60s feel to it as well. But
it might have been better if Dick Van Dyke had played Barnabas, just saying.
It could be. It would have been funny. Well, I don't know. It's quite funny as it is, to be honest with you.
Would have been the most hated show in Britain's history. Hello, Governor. Fancy a vampire? What?
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned that, Pete, because the character at the beginning, I can't remember his name now. The guy that was played Harvey and Cagney and Lacey, his character's kind of like Benny from Crossroads. I'm not kidding. So yeah, but yeah, Dark Shadows. I say you could say it's so 70s a horse, but that's not true because we've still got a couple of films to look at that are actually more 70s than this. And,
oh yes.
But it's a good start because, and this was rated GP, right? This was
yes, before PG-13.
Before PG-13, and I'll talk about that later on because that's quite important because it was anybody could get in and watch it, which is probably why a lot of parents were not happy.
I imagine it'd be PG-13 today.
Yeah, definitely. She does look a bit like Lady Penelope there, Peter. You're right. Now, this was a GP as well. GP only lasted a couple of years in America. I was reading up about it because it was before the PG came in, and people were confused by it and thought it was just for general audiences. But they actually got away with quite a lot in these movies.
Oh yes,
that you were kind of like, wow. And Count Yorga kind of, and its sequel kind of push the envelope with it.
Yeah, if it wasn't a clear R or a clear G, they had to go in and sit. Or if it wasn't a clear PG-13, or they had to go in and watch every single movie that came out and place it into a category. And sometimes those categories didn't quite fit, which is what led to the dump bucket known as PG-13, which is why it's so broad, because if it's not clearly an R movie and it's got a little bit of something in it, well, throw it into PG-13. That's fine.
Yeah, and then PG-13 became a kind of like we want that because, it's like we don't want to be tainted with it being a kids movie.
Well, it was Indiana Jones in the Temple of Doom that did it when that guy got his heart ripped out in a PG-13 or a PG movie.
Yeah, that'll do it. Yeah,
and
that was cut here. The air sensor cut that.
Oh, of course.
So he goes over and he grabs his chest, and then it cuts away to him turning, and everyone's going, "Ugh," and you're sitting watching it going, "What happened?"
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I can see it. It's just born out of laziness and lack of resources.
Adams is okay. That's interesting you say that, Adams, because this was originally conceived to be a softcore porn movie.
Makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, and it was like the brides of County Yorga, and on the prints it's not Yorga, it's Iorga, Yorga.
Kind of in the spirit of like what the Countess Dracula, stuff like that.
Yeah, or the loves of County Yorga. It was. It was going to be called, and the print that I've got on the Arrow kind of Blu-ray it's got that as its title card. But they got the actor who plays Yorga, Robert Query. He said, "I'll play this part, like this, but it can't be a porn movie." And so they went, "Okay, we'll make a legitimate movie." So they did. It's got a sense that it could have been a sleazy movie there. The stuff there, more so than the posters. The posters make it look as if it definitely is a sleazy movie. So it's got a sense that it could have been, because there's some things in there that you can see how it could have gone. It's got like a softcore kind of sex scene, all this kind of stuff, but it's all done very tastefully, to get a GP. And they had to cut quite a few minutes out in order to get that rating.
This makes me really sad. This poster on the left here, because AIP went through in the 60s like a beach blanket bingo phase, and I would have loved to have seen beach blanket bloodbath.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I've never. I don't think I've ever sat through any of those kind of movies. I never got the appeal.
No, they had that
whatsoever.
My goodness, they were prolific though. Beach blanket.
Yeah,
AIP.
All those teenagers and nobody stabbing them. I couldn't figure it out.
They're back.
Oh God! Really?
As of 2020, AIP has put out 4 movies.
Wow.
They resurrected the brand. I found out. Johnny Depp's got a movie coming out pretty soon. But they're not like horror ones or anything like that. They're weird mid-grade, like I don't know how you describe them.
It's not the real AIP then, really, is it? It's like
there's like breaking news in Yuba County, How It Ends, comedy dramas. They're all comedy dramas. Summer Days, Summer Nights, and then Minamata, which is going to come out. That's Johnny Depp movie, I guess, or has him in there. American photographer. But yeah, it's weird. They restarted. The IP is back.
That's odd. That's weird. Yeah, but they should be getting like TV actors that can't get work and having them as the stars in their movie. That's what EIP was all about. There's your man. This Count Yorga. The first time you see him in the first movie, he's doing this seance. He's very smooth, and Robert Query is great. He's terrific as this character.
I thought he was doing the Flash Gordon song.
But this is Savior of the Universe. This is him from the second movie, actually, because it was the best shot of this we could get.
Right.
In each of the movies, he does this thing where he just runs out from nowhere and attacks somebody by pushing them violently against a wall or down the stairs and killing them.
That's how you do. Like, make it look like an accident.
Pretty much. It's kind of like his signature move. Like if he was like Seagal or Bruce Lee, that would be his signature move.
Sneak attack.
Yeah, and they do it a couple of times. And it's effective because it does actually make you jump. It is, I think the first time you see it is reminiscent of the hammer kill in Psycho. You kind of think that's what they're going for. But the film is very kind of like disjointed and weird and bitty. But it's dead interesting, and there was nothing really like it. And it's modern day, set in San Francisco, and it's got a lot of like location photography, and it just seems different from anything that was out there.
Except Dracula 1974 AD.
Yeah, well, Dracula. I mean, I was going to put some Dracula stuff in here for 1972 and 73, but I didn't. I resisted because we're doing these ones. But yeah, you can see a little bit. This is like Judy Lang, who plays Erica in it, a brilliant female vampire character who should be more known amongst fandom for her portrayal in this movie. And she's got one scene where she kind of like stands up and comes to camera and starts, well, you can see it's the top left-hand corner there, and how they got away with it in what was a GP rating, I'm guessing, is because it wasn't full nudity.
Right.
That
kind of makes a big difference, yeah.
Yeah, but it was definitely, they were sexualizing the whole kind of vampire thing in here.
Typically, as long as it wasn't a sex scene, at that point, you could get away with it. You got like Clash of the Titans, where you got fully nude walking down a beach, totally okay. Like that they had like really broad rules for nudity back then.
Yeah, definitely. Adams is right. That is a bit as exciting as the film gets, but
that bottom right rather reminds me of the Witches of Eastwick a little bit.
Yeah, well, he has loads of vampire brides. He just goes for the ladies. This is what Count Yorga's thing.
Well, I can't blame. I mean, if you got a type, you got a type.
Yeah, pretty much. As Pete says here, Mr. Query made up for the lack of sleaze in those Yorga movies by ending his career acting in loads of Fred Olen Ray flicks. God bless him for that. Bringing a bit of class to the Fred Olen Ray.
Well, you know what? He tried to replace Vincent Price, and karma came back to bite him. That
wasn't him. That was AIP. Yeah, because
you didn't have to take those jobs.
They decided that he was going to be. Well, they put him in Madhouse. With Price and Cushion, but he didn't have much of a role in that.
And Dr. Phibes 2.
And Dr. Phibes 2. And he was fine in Dr. Phibes 2, but again, that was a role where he was up against Vincent Price. So, he didn't quite have the personality of those kind of actors because they bring something to it, that kind of charisma. But he was good in the right role. And Count Yorga was a really good role for him. I think he was doing a great Batman villain in the Adam West Batman show. He had that kind of camp quality where he could play just the right side of camp.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, diversity.
Yeah. And Creed, he was all about it. He was he was very progressive. There was one scene that I remember, but I misremembered because I remember seeing this when I was a kid, and it was the scene with the kitten, and I thought it was like in a dungeon. I think I was getting in my head, I was getting mixed up with the satanic rites of Dracula or something else. But it actually happens in her apartment. That's where they find her, and she's eating the cat. And it's an actual cat she's holding. It looks as if it's just asleep. And they might have killed a cat. I don't know. But it is actually quite. It's actually quite shocking and sort of like humorous at the same time. But that's what I mean. That's what I mean about the film having like this weird kind of. It goes from camp to just something that they actually are trying to do, something that's pure horror, and they kind of pull it off occasionally. So it's just I think it's a very interesting film for the 70s.
Kind of slammed against two walls by the tonal differences.
Yeah, but it kind of rattles along and you just go along with it. Yeah, and I like it a lot. It's director Bob Keljin, who didn't make many movies, but he did make one more after this.
What?
I know. Surprise.
The heck is up with that poster?
Which one? The one
all right.
Yeah, he's got one. I don't know what that is. He's got one chicken foot into Lovecraft hands. I don't know. That's not in the movie.
It's not his final form. I bet they cut his head off in the other one, and he started sprouting a body, and that's how it began. Kind of like the thing.
But here's the interesting thing. This just ignores the first one. It's pretty much like we're just making another Count Yorga movie. Let's come up with a new story.
They did that a lot in horror.
They do, especially back in the 70s.
Oh yeah, movies were being made fast, cheap.
Yeah, well, the Hammer Dracula movies were kind of like that as well. I like that double bill, the Return of Count Yorga and Murders in the Rue Morgue. Because Murder in the Rue Morgue, that was like that's a very disjointed, weird movie. It's got Jason Robards kind of slumming it at AIP, and it's directed by Gordon Hessler. As
most were at AIP.
Yeah, it was kind of like I don't know. It was almost like they didn't know what they were doing when they were making it, and they had to cut it down. That's a movie we should probably do a Gordon Hessler special at some point, because he made some really interesting bad movies.
You love those obscure episodes, I think.
Yeah.
Who's going to search that? Got to get on that Gordon Hessler train.
Got to go on the Gordon Hessler. We did make the Golden Voyage of Sinbad, which is when he had good producers, he could make a good movie.
Right.
But he also made Kiss Meet Phantom of the Park. We've already watched that in a show. And he made Scream and Scream Again. So he's got good. Oh, and Pray for Death, the Shokashuki Ninja movie. So he's made loads of interesting kind of B movies and trashy movies. So we should probably visit him at some point.
Oh, for sure.
That's my favourite Count Yorga face. Right. He's got the female part
of the script.
Yeah, that's just before he does his infamous Count Yorga run and pushes somebody down the stairs, I think. As you see, he's got even more brides in this movie.
Kind of a Mormon vampire.
He kind of is, actually. I never thought about that. The opening scene of this has got like it's an orphanage next to where he's staying. And he's obsessed with the woman that runs the orphanage, played by Mariette Hartley, who was in loads of TV shows and episodes of Star Trek and all kinds of things. He strangely keeps hypnotizing her rather than just turning her into a vampire for most of the movie. It's kind of doesn't really make sense. But he's already got all these vampire brides, and in the opening sequence is a young boy playing with a yellow kind of ball that he's got. He's like a really crap football, and he's playing in the graveyard, and they all come up and chase him. He runs at the graveyard, and then he runs right into the arms of Count Yorga in full vampire mode. And that's how the movie starts. It's a really good start, perfect wee B movie start.
Oh yeah.
Meanwhile, she's having a conversation with the priest, who tells her that he's scared of the wind, which made me laugh. For some reason, because there was a wind coming. Obviously, they were trying to, foreboding wind, sort of what was to come,
Without that Roman year on there, that title card, I could certainly tell you that's from a 70s movie without ever having seen the movie.
Oh, definitely. You could quite easily drop Leslie Nielsen into one of these as well, and it would work.
Oh my. Pushed off.
But yeah.
Hey, Craig T. Nelson.
Indeed. Coach himself, Craig T. Nelson, is in this movie. You see he's just about to be attacked by a mad vampire woman there. There's a picture of Yorga's manservant, who's this deformed guy, because it's kind of like Dracula has Renfield. He has this deformed guy that kind of.
Why do you suppose they always choose the dudes that are suspect, anyways?
It's kind of weird. I know they always do.
I'd choose a guy that blend into a crowd, not one that the crowds run away from. I mean, for goodness sake.
Yeah, no, not in this case. It's like the really tall guy with the deformed face who doesn't see it and kind of lurches around everywhere.
You know who got it right? Jerry Dandridge in Fright Night. That guy was pretty normal.
Pretty much.
For the most part.
There's a scene in this, because I said there are actually some scenes. This is a better movie. It is better put together. It's better made. But the first film, I like the first film more, because it's kind of edgier. But it has like this whole home invasion scene where all the kind of like the vampire brides come and kill like the whole entire family, which was probably for any children, 8 or 9 year olds watching this in the cinema, because it was another GP, probably scarred them for life. So they keep trying it. Tracy Emin. It does look like Tracy Emin. But just above Coach's head there, it does look a lot like her.
My goodness.
There's one moment that I love, and I'd forgotten all about it until I watched this again recently, because I had both movies in my head as the same movie, because they are very similar, so lots of similar scenes. It's kind of like the director goes, if this has worked once, it'll work again. But you can see the chap with the crucifix, right? So Count Yorga's having a conversation with the priest or the reverend, and he says, let's continue this conversation outside in the garden. So they go for a walk, and Count Yorga leads them to quicksand. And then the guy gets stuck in the quicksand. Says, could you give me a hand? I'm stuck here. And Count Yorga just stands and looks at him as he slowly sinks into the quicksand. And at the very end, he pulls out a cross. And then you just see him go down and the cross disappears. And then Count Yorga, with kind of the same expression he's got there, just kind of walks away. It's brilliant. I love it.
They had a lot of dry humor in these. Like Dr. Fives, when that guy got impaled on that like unicorn head. And they just kind of awkwardly nod and start unscrewing him. And you see the feet going and stuff. It's not funny, but it's funny.
It is. It's kind of like the monsters. It's almost like the banality of the death and everything, Right. It's like they just try and find ways to amuse themselves, and that's Count Yorga's a bit like that. There's a fancy dress at the orphanage as well, as you can see up there. But,
I can see a lot of high production quality went into that costume party.
Totally. But I think most of the budget for this one probably went just into hiring the house that they filmed it in.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think with these movies they are definitely worth checking out. Don't pay over the odds for them, but you can get them quite cheap. And if you like kind of like 70s trash, they're kind of forgotten about. They're watching the kids that are on stage singing a song. That's why they're all so bored, because again, it's this kind of humor. There's loads of kind of bits of things in there that they keep dropping in to try and make it just a little bit more interesting than just a straightforward 90-minute horror movie.
I wonder what makes them, like, when you get a horror movie and it's a fairly effective horror movie, go in and take the sequel and say, you know what we should do? Not double down on the horror or make more of the same thing, but let's make it funny. I kind of wonder what goes into that thought process.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's kind of like that. He's a wee bit like that in the first one. A wee bit less so, but there's that kind of... He's got that kind of almost sarcastic look that he gives everybody.
Unless that's something like focus groups or something told them, I love these parts. And they're like, they liked all the funny parts. Well, let's make it funnier. I can see that.
Yeah, I don't know if VIP at that time would have used focus groups, so don't know.
Or that was just the trend at the time,
Yeah.
like that kind of thing.
I think it's just playing to Robert Quarry's strengths.
Yeah, maybe.
You
You've
know,
seen
because
a lot of comedies? I don't think I've seen a lot of Quarry's movies.
No, but he's in this role. He kind of has fun, you know. So I think that's what it is. I think it's you see he's having fun in the first movie, and you look at him and you think he does not look like he's going to be a particularly good vampire,
right?
You know, but he is, and one of the reasons he is because he's just camping off, and you know that he's enjoying it. You know, he's
kind of like Carradine's Dracula.
Yeah, he's just stopping short of winking at the camera, you know. And so they play that up a little bit in the second movie, which makes it more fun, but it's less interesting because of that as well. Yeah, that's kind of, yeah, that's not, yeah. See, they're still going for that GP rating. That's why they're going for that GP rating.
Make it a little more for the kids.
Exactly, all about the GPs.
For the children. Hey.
Probably the most famous of the non-Dracula ones that we're looking at. William Marshall, who is really good as Blacula.
And sadly, he's got two main claims to fame. This and the King of Cartoons from Pee-wee's Playhouse.
Yeah.
Guaranteed, most people are going to remember one of these two when they think William Marshall, sadly.
Yep.
Because he was a accomplished play actor, I think, too.
He's really good in these. He's got,
absolutely. It's like he's acting in a different movie.
Yeah, he's kind of like Robert Quarry insofar as he's taken this role, and it's kind of like in Robert Quarry's case, it was a case of like, how do I just have fun with this? And in his case here with Blacula, it's like, how do I bring some dignity to what? I mean, you look at these posters, what is this ridiculous character? And he kind of does. With Blacula.
Hey, Hyper Kaiju, if you have Amazon, the first one is on there, included with Amazon Prime, and the second one is on Tubi, totally for free with a few commercials, if you do want to see those. Cool. Or you could rent it for $3.99, I think, on Amazon each. Either way. I don't know if it's really necessary to see it for $3.99, but...
if you can get them for free, go for that, I would say. Go for free.
Yeah, this is... I think I like this one better than the sequel, although the sequel did quite a bit different. I mean, like in terms of sometimes some of it was an improvement. In some ways, it was a bit more of it was much more of a blaxploitation. The sequel was, but in terms of this one, it took itself, I think, the right amount of serious.
Yeah, it takes you by surprise at the start because it's got Count Dracula. You see him there at the bottom left, Count Dracula. And it's got this scene set in the past where Blacula at that time is not Blacula. He's an African prince.
No redeeming parts of Dracula in this whatsoever. No romance, nothing.
Nothing. He's just a monster.
Horrible.
A racist monster. So that's a whole blaxploitation sort of thing. So he's just a racist monster.
But it works well with Dracula.
It does. So he pretty much... turns Dracula, locks him away in a coffin, and leaves his wife there locked away in the tomb with him to just slowly die. That's the start of the movie, and he curses him with the name of Blacula. The whole idea of the opening came, I think, from William Marshall because he wanted to have the character be a kind of like a noble character and not, the usual kind of blaxploitation sort of character. So again, you have this character who's locked away until he is unleashed in the 20th century by two highly offensive gay characters.
Oh wow!
You're like, they're kind of like the two bad guys for Diamonds Are Forever. They made me think of them immediately. only probably more offensive, but good value for money. So they're going to profit from Dracula, and as sort of like because where they come from, Dracula's like a cool baby and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think these were. I mean, they were made fast. I think this one had like a $500,000 budget. Wasn't crazy. It brought in $1 million. It would have been interesting to see more of a what do you call it, franchise out of this. But I want to say Blackenstein must have killed that. Maybe Marshall didn't want to do anymore.
Yeah.
I don't know, because Blackenstein wasn't that great. These two were, by comparison, much better. And the thing that this one also had was Thalmus Rasulala, I think is his name.
I was waiting for you to say that.
Yep, right. Over there in the top right, he was great. It's like the Van Helsing stand-in.
Yep.
Type guy. The second one did not have as strong a antagonist for Blacula, as far as I was concerned.
No, he was more driven and on point from the start.
Mm-hmm.
This has a lot of the typical tropes you would expect in a Dracula movie play out. So you see all the things you would expect to see, even with the demise of Blacula, where he turns to dust, which is really badly done, but it's quite funny.
Well, he turns to worms and bone.
Yeah. That's good. That shot is good. The shot with you kind of wonder why he's kind of worms and maggots, mind you. But
cool shot though, yeah.
Cool shot. But yeah, it's kind of like the first Count Yorga. It's disjointed. Doesn't quite fit together, but it's enjoyable.
Yeah. The two main leads were I thought, you could have a movie with just them and no other characters, just kind of playing tactical chess with each other and stuff, and it would be a really great movie.
Yep, I don't know if there was. I don't know. I can't remember if that scene was there where the corpse goes missing in the line. I can't remember. It probably was, because there's so much that happens in these movies.
Well, they did the one black guy went missing because he showed up toward the end.
That's right. Yeah, he does go missing. I can't remember what the line is though.
Well, there's some not to be used on this show lines.
Right, there are, because that's what I'm thinking. The only ones I'm thinking of we can't actually use because this is our PG-13 show. But tonight, for one night only, it's our GP show.
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Adam's got it.
That's it. That's it. Exactly that. Yeah, there's lots of stuff like that in it.
I really like the scene.
There's a really funny scene with you say it was probably the same scene.
I really like the scene where the Doctor and Van Helsing are like, he knows he's a vampire and he's talking back and forth with him. That was a great scene where they kind of both know each other.
I thought that as well. I thought it was a really good scene too. There's lots of really cool scenes in here. There's good chemistry played off with the actors as well in it.
I think there are better scenes in this one, but the second one is shot better. They have a lot of intentional, cool looking shots.
Yeah.
In the second one.
But we'll jump on the second one and we'll dive between them, because Scream, Blacula, Scream. Yeah, that's more like a Hammer type poster, isn't it? And I've put in the Soul Cinema DVD release. That's the one that I watched it on. It's kind of, they're pushing the Pam Grier aspect, because Pam Grier was a co-star in that one.
Yep.
Directed by Bob Keldon. So Bob Keldon made a vampire movie 1971, 72, 73. He's like churning them out. And this has got a lot in common with Count Yorga in the way that it's shot. At least the second Count Yorga. It's definitely more polished as a movie.
Yep.
The way it's put together. Adam's just coming around to liking this movie, and the more we talk about it.
That's what we do on this show.
Yep. We're going to make people kind of reassess their thoughts on movies, reappraise the movie, and then go back and watch it and go,
Well, he's even done it a couple times himself.
I know. Rambo 5.
That's right. Came around to my side.
Yep, it does happen. But yeah, this started off really wild. I'm making up new words here. Wild and weird at the same time.
No, I think those are both words.
They're both, yeah, but I said wired.
Wired.
I was combining them. It starts off. I couldn't quite figure. I thought, is this some kind of weird, kind of like voodoo mafia? But no, it was just like a big family and people, and it was voodoo was a religion.
Voodoo Mafia would have been great.
Yeah, I was thinking that's what I was kind of hoping for, because the mother's dying, and so who's going to take over and lead them? Is it going to be Pam Grier, or is it going to be her brother Wallace?
Right.
It's made me laugh.
Yeah, this one upped the jive quite a bit.
Yeah, he is so jive. It's the guy on Superman the movie. When Superman walks out and they've got the kind of like the guy in the kind of the zoot suit outside.
Yo, Jack, that is a bad outfit.
Yep, it's him times 10. That's Wallace. Right. And there's a brilliant scene with Wallace where we'll talk about it later actually. But I'm setting it up. Wallace is wanting to take off the family, but the family are all wanting, they're wanting Pam Grier to lead them, kind of thing. So he's pissed off. So what do you do when you're pissed off? You resurrect Blacula. But he doesn't realise that's what he's doing, because he's a bit of an idiot.
Yeah.
And so Blacula turns him, and there's this brilliant scene where he's a vampire, and he realises he can't see himself in a mirror.
How do I look, man? Come on.
So he goes off on him. He's like, "What do you mean I can't see myself anymore?" It's like,
I like when he's trash talking, and Blacula's just sitting behind him,
just sitting staring at him.
But yeah, this one, there were a lot of shots I thought that were like really cool. Like there's a point where he's snacking on a lady, and like this, but he's snacking on this lady, and another lady notices him, and you see him through like the support, the beam. You kind of see him peering through the stairs. Yeah, there. A lot of really cool shots. Lighting was really good, although some said it was too dark at times.
It is better. It's better made, I think, because I think the director, the Count Yorga director, is a better director. So he does better setups, so he does really nice, interesting things sometimes. That one that I had up there, that's the wrong one. There we go. That shot I had up there is actually the shot where Blacula does the Count Yorga run and pushes somebody. So the director thought, if this has worked twice in Count Yorga movies, I'm going to use it again for Blacula. So he just quickly runs at somebody and pushes them and attacks them.
Well, it actually looks a lot cooler here.
It does look a lot cooler here. But you were saying to me earlier, like a Gene Colan run. Yeah,
it looks a lot like a Gene Colan. Although the makeup in this movie, I would say probably closer to the Omega Man than the first Blacula.
Yeah. I'm not a big fan of the Blacula makeup, I got to say.
Like that greenish, whitish tinge.
Yeah, the kind of greenish, whitish tint, almost turning into a werewolfy type thing. But,
and the vampires look a lot more like zombies, almost like Last Man on Earth vampires.
Well, they do, because they're normal for lots of the movie, and then when they decide to go vampire, they go all shambling and green.
Right.
So it's kind of illogical in the way that that's the vampires work.
I suppose he sprouts all the hair, and then they just go green. That's kind of odd.
Yeah, weird. That's kind of weird.
Grows a beard.
Pam Grier is badly misused in this movie.
Well, I think she done the Brown stuff yet? Not Foxy Brown at this point?
I think she must have started doing some of that stuff by now.
They're getting in her star power in there for this stuff.
Yeah, because I'm guessing that's why she was there, isn't it? So when was Coffee? Was that Coffee was 73? Well, you know what? I'm thinking, because Coffee was 73, and that was the first big one that she did. So yeah, this is before Foxy Brown,
right? And that would be her big one.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't any bones, but
yeah. So she wasn't. Yeah, she didn't quite. She didn't have that kick-ass persona kind of solidified yet.
Right.
But you kind of miss it when you're watching it, because you know it's.
I think that wouldn't have been that good for this movie. Get over there, sucker! I'll shoot you down.
Yeah.
Kind of tough lady. Wouldn't have been right for this role if that were like, the thing that, how some people cast to character act and some people cast to a specific personality. If they were casting her to that personality, I think it wouldn't have mixed very well. She did a fine job in this.
Yeah, she did. I think it was a character more than anything.
I don't think they gave her much to do.
Yeah.
No, not really, Adams. Not a whole lot.
Yeah.
Fairly clean, this one was.
It's another. Well, it might not have been a GP. I think they might get rid of the GP by 1973. It only lasted a couple of years. But yeah, so that was the one thing that disappointed me. Although she is a voodoo princess of some kind, isn't she?
Yeah.
And there's this interesting idea that they kind of don't really play up, but you can see them run. They've run with an idea from Hammer movies. The idea of supernatural actually being science. So she talks about the voodoo as being the religion, and Blacula talks about it as if it's science. So I quite like that. I'd like to see them kind of play that up a wee bit. But
that being said, I hated the ending in this movie. It was just abrupt, to say the least.
I didn't mind it too much. There's the green zombies up there. I
mean, I guess the name of the movie is Scream, Blacula Scream, and it ends with him screaming. There's maybe a joke in there.
But I quite like the way that he's killed. The fact that she's got his voodoo doll, and he's kind of wanting her to kind of cure him. And eventually, what it does is it leads to her using the voodoo doll to stab it instead of stabbing him to kill him.
Sure.
I thought that was pretty cool. I liked that. I could have done with blood spotting out of him while she was doing it. That would have been even nicer. But
yeah. I mean, he could have gone out a little more spectacular. But I mean, as far as the movie's ending goes, he could still very well have just been alive and just sort of annoyed that he was being stabbed.
Could have been. I don't. Oh, we didn't talk about the title sequence because this goes right into the end titles. But the title sequence has got like both these movies is really cool. They're like the animated bats and stuff.
Art kind of title sequence, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like a Saul Bass title sequence, only done like in an afternoon by somebody who's not quite as talented as Saul Bass, but they're still pretty good.
How about it? You seen Sugar Hill?
Yeah, Sugar Hill. We've been talking about that one, Pete, haven't we? Yeah.
Man,
Adam's blaxploitation is in the future.
Adam's thinking we got what do they call it? Like a party foul? Wearing yellow as a vampire?
Yeah, but he's a really funky vampire. Yeah.
That's a bad outfit.
Yeah. The guys in the bottom left-hand corner, the two kind of pimps. That's a great scene.
Welcome, Ashton. Drive safe.
Hey, Ashton. Yeah, be careful. Yeah. Blacula beats both these guys up and then while giving them a lecture on what it means to be black.
He does an awful lot of backhanding in these movies.
Yeah. It's a cracking wee scene, though. I really like it.
Are you talking about the pimps?
Yeah, the pimps. Because
that was a good scene.
The hooker kind of comes on to him, and he's just kind of like confused as to what she is.
He just passed like 4 hooker shops.
Looking at all this stuff, and it's like none of it interests him whatsoever. So they have a go at him, and he pretty much kind of gives him a lecture on what it means to be black while he's killing them, really.
Frank Langella would have gone in there. He would have gotten himself some girls.
Yep, he would indeed. Kent Yorga would have been in there for about a month.
Oh, for sure. You'd have so many wives.
So you wouldn't be able to get him out. Oh.
There's a second store? Yeah, just right next door. Oh, shoot.
Oh, man.
It's true. Blackie kept that pimp hand strong.
You were talking about the Van Helsing character in the first film, the actor whose name I'm not going to try.
Yep.
And you're right, it's not as good, this film, but the actor's pretty good because I've got him here. It's Don Mitchell.
Yeah, he's not bad. It's just kind of like it's sort of like he just realizes it and it's like, well, I'm going to go kill a vampire now.
Yeah, but it's when he's like, watching these films, you will see a lot of people and you'll go, who were they in? Who are they? And he was in Ironside, which is why I've got Ironside here. So you get people that have maybe been in long-running TV shows and stuff like that, or just about to be in them. So it's quite good at playing a kind of like a who's the actor sort of thing.
Oh, I loved how the first, like the doctor from the first one, he didn't tell anybody about it. He just brought him in and showed him.
Yeah.
Vampire pops up, he kills the vampire, and they're like, holy crap, why didn't you tell me? He's like, you wouldn't have believed me. And they're like, yeah, you're right.
Yeah. The first one has a really kind of straightforward, down the line kind of approach to things.
But it was like a nice, like, Hammer's Van Helsing sort of intelligence that he used. Yeah. I like that. Like, like there's a scene in one of the Hammer ones where Van Helsing takes a cross and slides it across the table, to get in Bride of Dracula, I think it was. slides it across, or he throws a cross in the coffin so that Dracula can't go back in there. Like, that's good thinking.
Yeah, he does. He's always using crosses and making crosses and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, being clever with it. Yeah, there's a couple of kind of wee nods to Hammer films in these that you can know where they've taken stuff and they kind of do their own thing with it.
We didn't get a lot of blaxploitation horror movies though, so that makes these special.
Yeah. There's just a few other ones which we might touch on in another show further down the line.
They brought them back a little bit with like stuff like Bones and I suppose you could maybe call Interview or Vampire in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Sort of one a little bit higher budget, but I mean, like in the 70s, you saw I think more revenge type crime stuff.
Yeah, they went down that whole route because the Black Caesar was such a big success. That's kind of like that's the kind of route they went. Yep.
That's a great move. I love his Van Helsing. Peter Cushing is such a great Van Helsing.
Yeah, his Van Helsing and his Frankenstein, two completely different characters.
Oh, absolutely. Showed how great an actor he was. Peter Cushing, one of my favorites.
Brilliant. Just imagine if he'd been in EIP movies like this.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I could also, it's interesting to imagine what would happen if Christopher Lee had actually been interested in playing Dracula in those movies.
Yeah, he does. He gives his all for the 10 minutes that he's on screen.
Oh, for sure. For sure. But if they had been able to use him as creatively as they did Van Helsing, oof.
No, you can understand why he was not.
Oh, yeah, I get it.
I get these scripts and he's like, what the hell is this? What am I doing?
Absolutely. He had some standards. Curse Frankenstein is great. Kaiju's right.
It is indeed. I think Revenge is equally good. As a follow-up. Yeah, we can make a good double bill together. Have we done Frankenstein movies?
We have not.
No.
Not. I'm trying to think. I know we did like some Dracula stuff. We did some Universal. Honestly, I don't think we've touched on a lot of Hammer stuff. Weirdly enough.
Ah, right. Okay, that's interesting. We need to go that route.
For sure.
Yeah, let's do that. So, anything else you want to say about these particular 70s vampire movies?
I prefer the Blacula ones, I think, to the Count Yorga. Just, story-wise, and just Marsha was so good. I think the Count Yorga ones are well made, and it's more for vampire completists because the second one does get a little bit silly, but just I think both installments, the first installment was better or more entertaining, better for me at least than the second ones.
Yeah.
So if I had to recommend, I would say see the first Count Yorga, see the first Blacula, and if you like them, move on. But of the two, I'd say watch Blacula first because they're a little bit more. There's a lot more going on in there, I think.
Yeah, and one thing to notice, if you watch both of them back to back, you will notice this. The shot of Count Yorga being taken off the ship onto the dock in America is the exact same footage that they use for Blacula.
Oh, yeah.
So that's
using
just
those assets.
That's just a cost-efficient AIP when it came to things.
Well, I'm sure they had a library of stock footage they could pull on for stuff, keep the cost down, the second unit.
Yeah, totally. But I would say if you like your blaxploitation movies, watch both Blaculas. You'll probably enjoy the second one more if that's the case. So I think it's got more of a blaxploitation feel to it. The first one's got probably the most interesting kind of ideas and themes behind it, but it's like you were saying, it's a bit rougher. Count Yorga, I think I prefer the Count Yorga movies, or at least the first one. I don't know if that's just because I saw it as a kid and it kind of resonates because of that, but it's just when you go into Count Yorga knowing what it was supposed to be and what they ended up making, it's kind of surprising because it's obviously people with skills that can make proper movies. you wonder if they carried on and got bigger budgets, what they could do, you know. But that never happened with the director of the Yorga movies. So yeah, they are interesting. Give them a look. But if you just want 90 minutes of non-stop bonkers vampire action, House of Dark Shadows, the movie version, give it a watch. There's nothing like it. Seriously, nothing like it out there. It's like the best of vampire scenes all put together in this one movie. It's a big soap opera.
I'll say Night Stalker's freaking great. Touching on what Kaiju's saying. Love me some Darren McGavin. Even though if he didn't love the character.
Yep, that's cool. Yeah, Night Stalker and even the Night Strangler are both really good. Yeah. There's probably, I mean, there are other kind of like 70s. They were made as TV movies, so they were proper TV movies. I think they were released some countries as cinematic movies, but
yeah, some of that stuff just ends up looking like an episode of Night Gallery.
Yeah. I haven't watched them in years. I think we'll go there though. Piper Kaiju, I think we'll definitely get there, won't we, Statto?
Eventually, yeah.
And have a look at some of the Night Stalker stuff.
I think they just released those on Blu-ray, the series, I think.
There you go. If they're not asking silly money for it, I might get myself a copy.
Ooh,
indeed. Right, okay. That's been 70s Vampires from Count Yorga to Blacula with a wee bit of Barnabas thrown in for good measure. So that's us for the night. Thanks to everybody for joining us. Hey, Peyton. Glad you turned up. Don't mind if you're late at all. Just thanks for turning up.
Yeah, man. Thanks. Welcome.
And thanks to everybody in the chat. As per usual, you've always got something interesting to say. And if we don't know a fact, you help us out. Thanks for that. We'll be back, if not next week, in a couple of weeks. And I'm not quite sure what we're going to do. We'll work that out and we'll let you guys know. We do know that we're going to have another EC show coming up in November as well. And we'll give everybody a good chance to get those stories read and watched before we do that show. So
we're going to have a talk about why Pierce Brosnan took the Mamma Mia roles and what terror came from them.
Yeah, it's terror beyond belief.
Seeing that guy in a one-piece suit is going to haunt my dreams worse than any of these movies.
Yeah, but let's face it. I mean, the bravery of the man to actually sing.
That is brave.
That is brave. That's braver than anything Bond ever did. Okay, thanks everybody. If you haven't already checked out Ales to Dark, please give it a wee looky. And if you have, let everybody else know about it. It's only going to be going for another month. We'll be back in some form next week. So watch out for any kind of noises and sounds that you might hear in the middle of the night. It might just be Count Yorga. You never know.
You're only going to get pushed down the stairs.
Yeah. Good night.
Good night, everybody.
You have seen this incident based on sworn testimony. Can you prove that it didn't happen? Perhaps on your way home, someone will pass you in the dark, and you will never know it, for they will be from outer space. Many scientists believe that another world is watching us this moment. We once laughed at the horseless carriage, the airplane, the telephone, the electric light, vitamins, radio, and even television. And now some of us laugh at outer space. God help us.